So here is your starting grid for the main final of the EFRA 1/8 Buggy B European Championships. Juan Carlos Canas rolls off on the pole and he starts as red hot favourite, and that is saying something considering how difficult these races are to call. He starts with some searing pace in the bank and he looks seriously quick in his semi-final. Joao Lopez is the best of the home favourites and they have got a huge amount of home support behind them. He rolls off second. Third is Baptiste de Bruyne, who we spoke to in the pits beforehand, and he was feeling pretty confident. Pretty good, about as confident as anyone can be. A lot of nerves down there. Nuno Rebelo, fourth. Fifth will be Alejandro Duras. Fifth, Thomas Musso. Sixth, Thomas Musso. Seventh, Melo, who was joint TQ, but probably was showing the nerves the most. There in the pits beforehand. Guillermo Hebert, 8th, Alberto Ruiz 9th, and then 10th for Manuel Iniesta. And the final two starters, Alejandro Ramia, one of the transfers from the quarter-final, and then Wissam Mertens concludes the starting grid. We have 45 minutes of main final coming up for you as they conclude their warm-ups. There's a lot of nerves on that driver stand right now. A lot of guys who stand on the cusp of cementing themselves as a growing force in RC racing in the European Championship scene. And a lot of guys here who are just experiencing this top level of competition for perhaps the first time, or one of the first times. And that adds a real element of tension, as if there wasn't enough tension around a European Championship final. Quality on display has been second to none. Some of the action on display has been absolutely fantastic. And that was only in the lead-up rounds. And it has been a pleasure covering this tournament. And we're about to bring you the conclusion, the main final on RC Racing TV. Our live coverage of the entire event has been brought to you by TKR Graphics and by EFRA, of which we are the official media partner for season 2016. And any second now, the drivers will be under starters' orders. And they come, they're being ushered out onto the track now. We move out, crew chiefs and the mechanics heading out onto the grid and taking their positions. Oh, it's going to be pounding right now. A lot of nerves down there. Can't stress that enough. That first turn and the first half a lap is going to be absolutely crucial for Canas and those guys at the front. They'll be looking for a smooth start to have their own race and control it from the front. For guys like Melo, they'll be looking to come through the eye of the storm and pick up positions right in the early going. This is going to be absolutely fascinating. Let's get ready for the main final, the EFRA 1/8 Buggy European B Championship. And away they go. It's a very good start from Canas. He takes off like a scalded cat and he gets the jump and the run through the first corner very smoothly. A lot of dust being kicked up behind. Surprisingly few cars falling by the wayside. They've gone through quite smoothly. I can just see Nuno Rebelo has moved up to third. Great start. Baptiste de Bruyne has been tangled up in a little instant just behind them, but the top three in a little breakaway already. Canas and Lopez trying to give this field a goodbye look, but car number 4 of Rebelo is sticking with them. And now around that hairpin, which has already seen so much drama today, and I'm convinced it will play a huge factor in this race as well. They're coming across the line for the first time in this 45-minute final. It is Canas from Lopez. Qualifiers 1 and 2 lead, and in positions 1 and 2 to start off. It is Rebelo in third, occupying the final spot on the podium. But Guillermo Hebert has made a fantastic start and has moved up from 8th spot to get up into 4th. So he's done very, very well. I'm just looking down the timing screen. Looks like Melo is still down in the midfield, so maybe he's taking a more kind of restrained approach. Just let the field sort themselves out a little bit. Let the early craziness get out of the way, and then start picking your way through the field. And a pass for third. The battle for third is underway. And Guillermo Hebert has made an absolutely fantastic start to this race, and it's all gone horribly wrong. Commentary jigs working in record time there, but he has retained the position. That's a stroke of good luck right there, but he has brought a lot of other cars into play now, including the third place car, Baptiste de Bruyne. His fellow Frenchman, Nuno Rebello, is also there, but it was a very clean pass for third from Hebert up onto the final podium spot. He's now leading a pain train of cars down the back straight, over those doubles, taken with such confidence and vigour. But I can tell you, Canas is already starting to leg it here. He's really taking off at some speed here. Hebert, interestingly, Hebert, he goes over the jumps there. The left front wheel looked to be wobbling slightly, so I'm not sure if he's actually had some damage on that car in any way. But we'll see as that develops. The left front appears to be either very loose. We'll see what happens, see if they investigate that on the first pit stop. It doesn't appear, it's not slowing him down any. He's made the pass for third. He's got great speed. We watch more of the battle for fourth. They come round, it'll be, I think it's Nuno Rebello. Oh no, it is actually car number 3 of Baptiste Bru, who's moved back into fourth spot. The third place starter. And the more I look at it, the more a lot of those left front wheels, a little bit of an angle, big burnouts, big donuts. That's Melo getting caught up in a couple of incidents there, getting tangled up. That's what happened to him at the start of his semi-final. Just got a little bit scrappy. I wonder if he's just putting a lot of pressure on himself, the young man. But he's certainly got more time. He was able to make up those positions in the semi-final, and he was able to make up time as we got a car that actually buried itself underneath the pit lane on the main straight. It's a little bit bizarre. I saw a marshal rifling around underneath the pit road itself. So the top 4 around underneath us right now. And Canas and Lopez are starting to get away, but Lopez is sticking with him rather well, I'd say. He's doing a pretty decent job. But, right now we are focusing on Baptiste Bru, who is the 4th place runner. Breaks nice tight line through there. Actually, that is. And let's just have a look here. Let's see if we can find our leader, Canas. He's just going through the EFRA tabletop right about now. The orange car with yellow wheels, car number 1. Now coming round onto the back straight. Over the doubles. There's your leader, Canas. An early look at him. And I'll tell you what, he's already pulled something like 9 seconds on Joao Lopez in second. So, he's putting in an absolutely spectacular drive to start with. Remember, a long way to go still. We're already 4 minutes in. Hasn't even had his first round of pit stops yet. So, he's still got a long way to go here, but this sort of searing pace is enough to give him a stranglehold on the race before anyone else can do anything about it, really. So, as he heads up round onto the back straight, we're watching our leader, Canas, who's just laying the beat down on this field for the moment. Let's see if we can drop back to the 3rd place battle, which is Guillaume Hebert. He's now coming round onto the back straight right now, over the first of the jumps, then the second. He's car 8, the blue and green car, at the end of the back straight now. Round onto the granite hairpin. There's your 3rd place runner. And not that far ahead of a whole gaggle of cars behind him. Hebert made an excellent start to this race, making up those positions early doors. There's always one that profits from those early fracas, the early accidents, and Hebert looks like he's got excellent ground speed. He's actually lapping slightly faster than our 2nd place man, Joao Lopez, so he might have something for him in short order. They're down the back straight once more. The car that was, you may see a car in front of Lopez. That's the lap car of Alessandro Romea. With a scorching pace that already has putting cars laps down. But Hebert is definitely closing in on Lopez. Hebert was good on that start. This man who started 3rd is his fellow Frenchman Baptiste Bru. The man who's immediately behind him. As he continues to follow Hebert as he chases down Lopez. He's really gaining in on him, you know. Aggression in the early stages. Perhaps Hebert thinks he's got something for Canas. I'm not sure. Whoa, that's not going to help him though. That is really not going to help him, and he struggles to get back on the track as well. He's having all sorts of problems. He lets De Bru back through. He did technically cut a part of the track, recovering there, so he loses the position. Does he get any more of a penalty? We'll see. But cars 1, 2 and 3 are now back into positions 1, 2 and 3 with De Bru back through. Hebert immediately putting pressure on his countryman, on his fellow countryman. Oh, caught in the rear wing. He's getting aggressive now. Nuno Rebelo is a little bit further back, but this is the main battle on the track right now. I can tell you, Juan Carlos Canas has absolutely trashed the field here. We've got a VRC Pro replay. Let's just watch here. He comes down the back straight. He misjudges his landing on the first one, just falls off the track. You see there, he skips the second pair of jumps, tries to rejoin, cannot get over the barrier, flips back, turns round on himself, then has to recover, come back over here. He loses a lot of time. He loses the position to Baptiste de Vroo, even though he's shortcut part of the track technically. So I think the judges ruled he did not gain an advantage. So he's okay. And now Hebert has gained a position back because it was an incident for de Vroo. Mistakes made early, and I think de Vroo has actually sacrificed another position to Gonzalo Melo. So Melo now moving up through the field. Melo recovering from that slow start, and he's actually pitting early. So Melo is one of the first of our stoppers at approximately 7.5 minutes in. So you'd think, unless he can string out some of his later stints, so that's going to be a 5-stop run. So Melo going for the ultra-rich run, probably the best, so he can run full aggressive. He suits his driving style a lot more. As we continue, and the first round of pit stops well and truly underway. And that was Joao Lopez just gone beneath us. Let's see if we can just find Melo. Oh, we've got more pit stops underway. That is Hebert in the lane, car 8. Third place car. It's back underway. And he's just ahead of Melo, who was one of the first cars to make a stop. So Melo made his stop, and Hebert made his first stop at around 8.5 minutes. So he may be one of those guys that's pushing more to make straight 9-minute stints. If he can stretch one of his later stints out just a little bit more, he should be okay. Hebert versus Melo, the main battle on the track right now. Melo's not too far back on the battle for Hebert for third. Around the back hairpin. Melo's definitely got car speed, hasn't he? He was so quick. He did not merely fluke a TQ. So I think Melo, some of his racecraft today is, some of his nerves I think have got to him, some of his racecraft hasn't been quite there. And I can tell you what, just on the back road, there are actually cars lining the edge of the road, parking up to watch what's going on here and watch the final. Absolutely marvellous to see, and they're being treated to a good race so far. The battle for third, in particular, is the intriguing one. It's the one we're watching right now. Both these guys made their first stops already. Hebert at 8.5 minutes, Melo at 7.5. So keep that in mind for the rest of the race and what their strategy dictates from here on out. Melo driving very, very aggressively. Joao Lopez is in a safe second place, but he is already a country mile behind Juan Carlos Canas, who is dominating this race. Hebert is not too far behind the second place car of Lopez. In fact, maybe running slightly faster lap times he is. So Hebert still feels he's got some pace for the top guys. Oh, but Melo's right there. His immediate attention should be behind him, not in front. Melo doesn't quite get the momentum down the back straight. He'll lose some time there. But Melo certainly has a quick car here. He just needs to keep his composure. He's easily got enough car for a podium here. Remember, he pitted almost a minute before Hebert. You see the dust kicked up as the gravel on the surface is moved around by the wind. It's also been swept up overnight. So these guys have got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with. That's car 9, Alberto Ruiz. They should get out of the way for them any minute now. Got no cars around him as Ruiz. He's the last car on the road. But Hebert and Melo. Oh, that was a really good bit of driving from both those guys. Ruiz actually got into a half spin at the granite hairpin and just stopped to try and let the other two through, and they had to thread the eye of a needle on the apex. Both of them just snuck through. Oh, now Melo banging wheels as he gets past Hebert. That was an aggressive move from the young Portuguese driver. Really, really good move, and it's through into third. Just the right level of aggressive, but Hebert coming straight back at him. The battle for the final podium spot is easily the most intense one on the track right now. Easily the battle to watch. This has been ferocious stuff so far. Canas out in a dominant lead right now over Lopez in second. He's about 7 seconds up the road from these two. This is the main battle we're watching. Melo coming up from 7th on the grid versus Hebert starting 8th. These two now running 3rd and 4th. I think overall Melo just has that slight edge in terms of speed. He might be starting to get away a little bit from Hebert now. Just as I say that, he flips on the inside of the corner. And that's been the hallmark of his day, really. Just little mistakes, just when he's building some momentum. So he continues on, though. And just keeping one eye on the clock going into the race as well. The one when these two pitted. Hebert at 8.5 minutes. Melo at 7.5. Here's the VRC Pro replay. This is how Melo lost the position that he just gained. Just took a little bit too much out of the apex. He's off camber anyway. Then you get up onto the barrier and it tips you over and he's turned turtle. And the Master did a good job recovering him quickly, but it was still too long. Hebert makes it back through. Hebert back into 3rd spot. Both these guys having a really good scrap for the final podium spot. As Canas, by the way, is up over 20 seconds on 2nd place, Joao Lopez. So this is definitely the battle to watch right now. Lopez in a comfortable 2nd, but no one here has anything to match Canas. Very rarely am I fairly confident in my predictions, especially in dirt RC racing where so much can happen, there's so many variables. But I had a good feeling about Canas, but an instant there for Hebert, back in this battle for 3rd. And a mistake now lets Melo through. It's one of those battles, isn't it? You make a mistake, I'll pass you, and then vice versa. Melo has to defend now as Hebert comes straight back on the offensive. He gets aggressive. Hebert knows he can't let Melo get away and settle into a rhythm. You've got to keep the pressure on. Melo with a big slide through the granite hairpin. And they've got to be coming up on the 2nd round of stops in about a minute or two's time for these two. Melo 3rd then, the Portuguese star, the TQ overnight. And 4th is Guilherme Hebert, one of the French drivers who spoke to him before this final. And those guys, a lot of them, their expectation was to just make the final. They were stoked to make it. And from there on in, it was a case of let's see what happens, let's go for it. And Hebert will be really enjoying this one so far, but he'll be frustrated. He just can't quite get the job done on Melo so far. Melo, I think, has the faster car, but he just keeps making little mistakes like there. Just small errors. And that brings him back into the clutches of Hebert. Hebert knows he can keep clicking off consistent laps, not quite at the same pace as Melo. There's another mistake. There's one of those mistakes I was talking about from Melo. And suddenly Hebert's right back into it. Can't take your eyes off this battle for a second. Now, if the pit stops are going at regular time intervals, we should see Melo in at the end of either this lap or the next. And then Hebert in not long after. There's about a minute separation between their first round of stops. So we've got the VRC Pro replay. There's a shot of, you see there, Melo's car just swung to the left a little bit in midair. And he just got himself all tangled up on the landing. And great shots there on the VRC Pro replay. And Melo is continuing on for another lap. So he'll be pitting in after about 15 minutes. That makes about rough sense because he pitted after 7.5 minutes for his first stop. So splitting it up that way. Hebert will be going slightly longer on field, so it'll be interesting to see the difference in terms of outlap. Maybe that's why Hebert does not quite have the car speed. Maybe Melo's running a little bit richer. So his pit stops are at regular intervals. Maybe Hebert trying to cut down, lose less time in the pits. Because, of course, you save fuel, even if you still have to pit as many times. Here comes Melo into the lane. Right on time. Melo into the lane. In it goes. Nice smooth stop. That's a good stop. Out he goes again. He'll rejoin in 4th, I think. I don't think he'll fall behind Baptiste de Broort. No, he's 4th. And Hebert is the man to watch now. He should be in a little while. Maybe after 17 minutes or so. 15 minutes 35 gone so far in this race. We're about a third in. And it really has breezed by so far, hasn't it? The battle for the win has not really been there because Canas has been showing an absolutely clean pair of heels. But largely, this battle for third has been very engaging. Hebert continues on. And what I was saying was that even if Hebert has to make the same amount of pit stops as Melo, if he can shorten the final stop, have to put less fuel in the tank on the final stop, that gains him an advantage. So I think there's a little bit of tortoise in the hair going on here. Hebert, I don't think, has quite the car speed on Melo, but he may have the fuel mileage, and he's going to have mistakes like that to help him along. There's just a shot. We're watching Hebert right now. I can just tell you, Melo just clips the inside of the barrier, turn turtle. So that'll give Hebert a little bit of an advantage. Let's have a look here. I think he may be due a stop anytime soon. Not this time around. He goes on another lap. And he's setting a good pace. It's not to say he's miles behind Melo's pace. I mean, certainly on laps like that when Melo makes the small mistakes, he's absolutely fine. But Hebert, I think he's just losing out the odd tenth or half a second on the laps where Melo runs clean. But at the moment, he's running the cleaner laps and he's running slightly longer on fuel. It's working perfectly, this strategy. But here's a bit of context for you. As we're watching Hebert, Melo has dropped to about 5 seconds back. The car immediately behind Melo, the fourth place car, is Canas. Canas has already lapped up to fourth spot. Pit stop now for Hebert. We knew it was going to come. I think he should get out in front of Melo. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. But Hebert retains third spot. So far that strategy is working very nicely. But that brings Melo back into play though. I'll say this is real tortoise in the hair stuff. Melo with the faster car in terms of ground speed. Hebert with the smooth driving style, less mistakes, and saving a little bit more fuel, going longer on fuel stops. And this is a battle for third that just keeps on giving, doesn't it? Great stuff. Melo down the back straight, stalking Hebert's car, and Hebert gets it wrong on the landing. That allows Melo through. Now what Melo has to do is put together a string of really fast laps and start to build a gap to Hebert. So even if he loses any time in the pits or anywhere else, he can have that cushion in hand. As we've seen, Melo does seem to have the slightly faster car. Here's our VRC Pro replay of the pass for the third spot. As I say, Hebert just dug in, didn't it, on the landing. It wasn't quite straight, and he swerved to the right. So Melo had to duck through there, and he took the position well. So Melo navigating those back straight jumps again, and he is pulling out a little bit of a gap over Hebert. It's just imperceptible almost, but it is there. And Melo easily had the pace for a podium, and it looks like if he keeps going as he does, I say if, because so far he has been a little bit error prone. So Hebert will know that, and he'll also know that the leader is immediately behind Hebert. That's how fast Juan Carlos Canas has been running in this race. He's been absolutely storming through this field. We will see him in a minute. We're following third spot Melo, but we will see him in a minute just by dint of him coming up to lap Melo. Canas has been in a world of his own in terms of pace. And it was really interesting to see because Melo had the pace in qualifying yesterday to just edge him out for TQ. But on race day today, Canas has been in a class of his own, really. He dominated his semi-final, won the warm-up race earlier in the event. He just moves past Hebert to lap him there. Oh, the flip for Melo. There's the mistake. I told you about it. Just in front of our leader, Canas, who has got an absolutely monster gap back anyway. So he won't worry too much about that. He makes it through. But once again, Melo falls into the clutches of Hebert. This has been such an engrossing battle so far. It's been great to watch. So, let's watch on the VRC Pro replay. Once again, Melo, he just gets a little bit aggressive on them apexes, doesn't he? He just takes a little bit too much sometimes, with especially the apex being off camber. And he just takes a little bit too much out of it. Just trying to take just a little bit too much, especially with Hebert right there. A sign of the pressure that Hebert is putting him under. But Melo has retained the position for now as Canas moves past both of them. Our leader, who is in absolutely all-conquering form. Nothing short of a spectacular mechanical failure for that car is going to stop him getting his hands on the trophy. A big mistake from Hebert, though. This could be what swings it in Melo's favour for good. Hebert just misjudged the first jump there, got it wrong, fell off on the second jump. He was not able to keep going and recover quickly as we've seen before. He actually tipped off the jump. So then, the pendulum swings back in Melo's favour. It's been a really engrossing battle so far. I can just tell you, the breeze has picked up a little bit. They'll be blowing some of the gravel across the track, and that'll be affecting some of their jumps as well. And it's interesting to see. I wonder if some of those instances we're seeing on the back straight, with drivers being blown towards the driver stand a little bit, or kind of crashing off the jumps in the direction of the driver stand. I wonder if the breeze is just catching those cars a little bit in mid-air, making that adjustment in mid-air for them. Now, in terms of pit stops, I think Melo's due a third one in about a minute or two. He sticks to the 7.5 minute principle. The second stop was at around 15 minutes, so that should make sense for him. And Melo is still running on there, so Melo's stops are coming around 7.5 minutes. Hebert slightly longer, and Hebert generally has made up ground around the pit stop. You see again, demonstration of what I'm talking about there. Melo's car nearly coming a cropper on the jump. And the lap car, I think that might be car 11 of Alessandro Ramia. Came a cropper right there in front of him. Melo, that fast but slightly ragged style. It served him well throughout the tournament. Pretty good anyway. And I think Canas has just had one of his pit stops because he is now back behind Melo again. But Melo over the tabletop. And he's got a healthy distance between himself and Hebert now. I think, again though, the thing is with Melo, you've got to watch because he's been a little bit error prone this weekend. So, battle for third is still not decided, but I feel like if he gets through this next round of pit stops, which he's now taking, his third pit stop underway, right on time, right at 22 minutes. And he fuels up and he gets away. And Hebert's right behind him again. Oh, the battle picks up again. It just won't stop, will it? You just can't kill Hebert with a stick, can you? He just keeps coming back. Melo has got to be sitting there thinking, what have I got to do to shake this guy? There's no way. But Hebert will be in for a pit stop. But Hebert will make the job easier for him. Makes a lot of mistakes. Hebert's turn for the mistake this time. And I think with Hebert still to make a pit stop as well, that may well have swung the pendulum in the battle for third spot firmly in Melo's favour. Now, Hebert just getting a little bit ragged himself now. That was a real shame. We nearly had a battle on there. Here's the VRC Pro replay. You see there, he just turns in far too early. He actually gets up on the barrier and slips down the inside of the corner and he gets stuck there. And he ends up in real trouble. So it is Melo now in a fairly comfortable third spot. Or is that comfortable? No, it's not. Melo now making the same mistake that Hebert just did. This battle just will not die, will it? Melo makes the error now. And the pendulum swings back slightly more towards Hebert. I'm looking at it right now. Maybe about 24 to 25 minutes when we expect Hebert in for his next stop. Right now we're at 23 and a half minutes. And Melo is just doing enough to gap Hebert. Despite the mistakes, he's just doing enough. Hebert really needs to stay clean. But now Melo with another mistake. And it swings back again and Hebert back into third. This is a battle that you can't take your eyes off for a second. It is not settled either way. Both these guys learning their racecraft and learning how to deal with the high pressure scenarios. But at the moment, both of them making slight mistakes. Now, bearing in mind, Melo has a slight advantage because he has a pit stop due. Hebert has a pit stop due. Let's have a look on the VRC Pro replay. What happened there? It's coming through again. Just taking a little bit too much of those inside apexes. But actually, he's okay. But he just doesn't have enough speed for those second doubles. And he hits nose in on the third of those jumps. And he rolls. And he gets in all sorts of trouble in the end. So, the battle is on. Melo continues on. And I think Hebert must have just made a pit stop because he is now back behind Melo. That'll be right on schedule. Just under 25 minutes for Hebert. With the pendulum right now swinging back in Melo's favour. But we have seen him with a higher number of mistakes than Hebert. You can't really take your eyes off this battle for a second. What I can tell you whilst we follow Melo is that Juan Carlos Canas is currently in a world of his own in terms of speed. We will show you him later in the race once we have a better idea of who's going to be in the battle for third. And in fact, for Harlow Melo, he's scored fourth right now. And the man he's scored third is Manuel Iniesta, which is car 10. I'm going to keep an eye out for him, see if we can find our third place runner. I wonder if this is think of the pit cycle. As right beneath us we have car 6 pitting in. That's Thomas Musso, who's not really being in contention for this one. So Musso pits beneath us. Melo is now back to third. That's okay. Melo is right in front of us. So I think Iniesta has fallen back down again. He was going for a slightly longer fuel stint, but let's keep our eyes open on that, shall we? Let's stick with Melo, our third place runner. And actually, Alejandro Duras is scored fourth. But again, I think a little bit of the fuel cycle coming into play there. So Melo is third as it stands, and he's about 8 seconds up the road from Duras. Some of these guys going for slightly longer stints. Remember, these guys gone for 9-minute stints. Their third stop will be around 27 minutes, which is where we're right at. We are at 26 minutes 20, so fairly close. Melo has a little bit of traffic to deal with there. That's car 6, Thomas Musso, who've just seen pit. He's down in 10th spot. Up the inside, Melo very clean. That's good stuff. And so far he's been a lot cleaner. He's been a lot smoother. And I think actually what has happened to Hebert, he's now stuck in a monumental battle for fourth. So let's wait at the granite hairpin for a second. And let's wait for our fourth place battle to come through. It's Alejandro Duras in car 5, Vincent Meertens in car 12. Here they come right now. This is our battle for fourth right now. Coming through the granite hairpin. And round onto the main straight. Car 5 and car 12. And in fact it's ended just as we found it. Car 5 comes into the pit lane. That is right at 27 minutes. So he's probably splitting it 9 minutes per stint. And now we're watching the fourth place car, Vincent Meertens. Now I wonder if he's doing something similar. Trying to stretch his fuel a bit longer. Seems to have gone longer than Hebert. Neither of them quite have the car speed on Melo. But we are watching Meertens a little bit. We spoke to him before the race. Felt pretty confident, looked like he was enjoying himself. And it looks like he was just excited to get into the final. One of those guys, the goal was to make the final. And then you put yourself in contention. Here's his fuel stop now. And that should see fourth spot transfer back to Hebert. It does. So that's interesting. We're having more fuel stops come into play. And Meertens rejoins behind Alejandro Duras, and Manuel Iniesta is also in that group as well. So just keeping an eye out for the various runners and riders. Melo is in the granite hairpin. Let's see if we can find Juan Carlos Canas. In fact, he is in the middle sector of the track right now. The yellow wheels and red bodywork right beneath his car 1. He'll be coming up onto the tabletop right about now. Thanks, got him. Surprised he's been able to track him. He's going that quickly. He's lapping in the high 35-second bracket. We were barely seeing lap times that quick in qualifying, let alone in race trim. This is a phenomenal drive from Juan Carlos Canas, whose confidence has only grown and grown across the weekend. As he just passes the lap car of Alessandro Ramir coming out the pits. But Canas has been putting in a sensational drive. A really, really strong performance. It's been great to watch so far. And he's been storming through up the tabletop once more. It's just been relentless. The speed has been there, but the consistency's been there. And that's the thing that is so difficult to get sometimes. That's the thing that's so difficult to teach. That's the thing you learn with more and more experience. The confidence is so high right now. You see that car lap after lap. It's poised. It's purposeful. It looks great. It's kept up with the track well. That's been the most difficult thing for the drivers out here. Keeping up with the racetrack. And just as I say, they flips. So the commentary curse is that strong, he's even able to cause Canas to make it. Oh, that's a poor recovery from the marshal. But he does still retain his lead, because of course he still has upwards of about half a lap on second place. It's now showing as Gonzalo Melo. Melo is now showing in second place, ahead of Joao Lopez, who appears to have faded to third. And in fact, I think he's just lost third to Hebert. So let's just break away there and find our battle for third. They're coming up through the EFRA tabletop right about now. And the VRC Pro replay will just cut back to the battle for third in a minute. There's your replay of the flip. Memorise that. That's probably the only mistake Canas is going to make all day. A little flip there. He is Hebert. So we look at our third place battle here. And something interesting is happening here. Car 9 returns from the pits. That's Alberto Ruiz. He's the last of our runners. But we're watching Joao Lopez and Hebert here. Joao Lopez was in a solid second place for a long time, but fell behind Melo into third, and he's now falling back from Hebert into fourth. So something is happening here with Lopez. His car is obviously not running as strongly as it did. And, oh, a little bit of contact at the top of the... No, sorry, completely the wrong car. And I think, is that Hebert has just flipped? Here's a flame out. It's a flame out for Hebert. That's a major disappointment for him. He was right in the battle for third. And that's really disappointing. I don't think it's anywhere near his fuel window. It should be anyway. Maybe they underfueled him on the previous stop. Sometimes they can happen. It's a real shame. They're trying to get the thing refired. Get him out going. It finally does, but I think it is too far gone now for him to try and recover hopes of a podium. That's a real shame. But as we watch Hebert, there's still a chance for him. He's been one of those guys that's been so persistent all day. You really can't write him out. But let's see if we can refine Joao Lopez. He's just coming through the first corner and through the TKR triples right in front of us. There's Lopez. He's your third place runner. He's back up to third after the demise of Hebert. However, not that far behind him are cars 5 of Alejandro Duras and 12 of Vincent Miertans. We mentioned them a little bit earlier. They're running slightly longer fuel stops. We're assuming they're running at about 9-minute intervals, which should split it up nicely into a 4-stop race if they got their fueling right. But Lopez, I'm not sure if that car's running quite right, because it was miles behind Canas, but then again, so has everyone been. Everyone's been miles behind Canas for the duration of this race. But Lopez was a solid second. And then he faded to third behind Melo and had lost third to Hebert until Hebert had his flame out issue. So I'm just wondering now, what sort of lap times those are putting in behind him. You see, Joao Lopez is in the mid 38 second bracket, and yet the guys behind him are in the 36s. We're able to put in the 36 second laps on the good laps. So I wonder if Lopez has just lost a bit of car speed here, or whether he's slowing up to try and get some speed, or try and get more out of his fuel run. Down the granite hairpin he goes. Down the main straight once more. Lopez, that was a 37.8 that time. What's Miertans got in response? Miertans comes across the line now. Is Alejandro Duras. It was a slow lap for Duras and Miertans that time. So Joao Lopez, I think at the moment he's looking okay, but certainly his pace has dropped off compared to the front two. Gonzalo Melo is back to his fastest of the weekend, around the mid 36 mark. Still not on a par with Canas, but as I said, no one really is in this race. It's been all conquering stuff. We are watching Lopez in the middle of this scrap here, trying to navigate some lap traffic. He's moving past Thomas Musso, the 9th place car. Past, he goes, and Lopez still running. 37.8. Keep our eyes open for the next round of pit stops, which will be coming up fairly soon. Some of these guys, particularly Melo. Now Melo is still, well, to be honest with you, Canas has scored as almost a lap ahead of everybody. So, as we knew from about 5 minutes in, Canas is the dominant force in this race, but Melo is still in a solid second and has moved away from Lopez in third. Car comes into the pits, that's Musso, who's already a lap down as we established, but Lopez is in third right now, and he's about 5 seconds up the road from Alejandro Duras. So, I would say we drop back one car. Duras is in the middle of all that. In fact, Duras has just had his own issue with the lap car. So let's stick with Lopez for now. Lopez is your third place runner, but maybe under some pressure in the closing laps. Duras, who we're thinking is going for around the 8-9 minute mark in terms of pit stops. And Lopez, we're not really sure of because he was so far out in front in the early stages, up in second. We didn't see his early pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see where he pits from here on out. If he makes it to 36 minutes, then he should be good to the finish on fuel. And will be now, I think, just nursing the car home, to be honest with you, because I think it's just not got the pace that it once had. It's still getting back into decent laps, but I think he just had a middle stint in the race. Maybe he was trying to save fuel to fit it into to hit a fuel number. But either way, it cost him second place, nearly cost him third until the demise of Hebert. Hebert, who is back out there, but he's now down in 10th. He's multiple laps down. A real shame because he was a genuine podium threat. This comes beneath us again. We're right at 35 minutes. 35 and a half minutes for now. So if he pits next time by, he'll be firmly in that 9-minute bracket. So I think a lot of the top guys were going for. And I can tell you, Duras has actually faded a little bit behind him. So Lopez shouldn't have a huge amount of pressure on him. He is 11 seconds down the road from Gonzalo Melo, who is in himself still behind Canas by entire districts, really, by literally miles. Canas has been in his own postcode for so much of this race. It's been an all-conquering drive as Lopez pits right beneath us. That is right on 36 minutes. So there you go. That should be his last stop of the race. He should be good to go to the end now. Right at 9 minutes till the end of the race. So they've got all the fuel in just fine. They've underfueled him. He might have an issue in the closing minutes, but they've got all the fuel in there. He should be just fine for the flag. So it's Canas, Melo, Lopez, Duras and Iniesta, the top five, an entirely Spaniard, Portuguese top five. As Lopez continues on his way, one of the Portuguese drivers the home fans have enjoyed cheering on this weekend. And he showed a lot of potential, shown a lot of promise. He's shown really solid racecraft in this race. Good strategy and good composure to reassert himself after having that second place and then falling down the order a little bit. He just bangs wheels a little bit there with car 4, which is Nuno Rebelo, who's a lap down. So he continues to march on. And Canas is regularly showing he's almost 2 laps ahead of the entire field. This is an absolutely amazing performance in this final. He literally has put in a performance so dominant that short of something catastrophic going wrong, there's no way anyone can take this away from him. So we continue to watch Lopez right now. We will find Canas in the final 5 minutes. We've got about 8 minutes to go at the moment. Let's continue to watch Lopez for now. Lopez is now up 15 seconds on third place Alejandro Duras. Duras has just been losing time hand over fist really in this third quarter of the race. As we come into the final segment, Lopez has been able to stabilise and make third place his. Had a little bit of luck with Hebert. Hebert appeared to be faster, but Hebert had that flame out and just past halfway, or just on the half an hour mark. It's a real shame. I kind of took it away from him. But Duras just hasn't really had the car speed to keep with Lopez. And I don't think he's got Iniesta and De Roo behind them. They've had a bit of a scrap for 4th spot, but it's all been happening far behind the podium spots. Well, slowly and slowly further away behind the podium spots. As Lopez continues his march into the final 7 minutes now. Gonzalo Melo is about 11 seconds up the road and has done pretty well to come from behind here. See if we can just find Melo in these closing laps. I'll let you know where he is on the track, Frank. He's car 7, the red and blue car. He'll be coming up the EFRA tabletop in a few seconds' time. Here comes Melo up the EFRA tabletop. The white into yellow car with the white wing. There's his second place runner. And this has been a good run for Melo. This is about there or thereabouts for him. He was so close to Canas in qualifying yesterday. Well, he beat him out on a count back to get the TQ spot. But race pace today, Canas has been in a league of his own. So Melo, I think if he can hold this to the finish, then he'll still be very pleased with his endeavours. In front of his home crowd, as I say, he looked like an absolute bag of nerves before the final. Poor kid. Felt like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, but he's delivered a very strong drive in this final. Coming from 7th place on the grid, and after a less than perfect semi-final. He had a scratchy semi-final, and he's been scrappy at times in this final. But in the end, he beat off the advances of Hebert. I think got a little bit lucky, but he also passed Lopez on raw pace as well. So we may be expecting him in for a late splash of fuel. If my math is correct, he might be around that, or he might be about to try and stretch it out to a final 9-minute stint. So Melo has been pretty solid overall. I've got to say, this has been a good weekend for him. He was so quick in qualifying. I think he's just not quite been there in terms of setup. Maybe the nerves getting to him a little bit on race day, but he'll come away with, you can hold on to this, he'll come away with a healthy second place trophy, a lot of confidence, a lot of merit. He's been very strong out here this weekend as Melo continues to truck on. But I'll tell you what, in the closing minutes of this race, let's see if we can find our leader, Juan Carlos Canas. He's coming up onto the EFRA tabletop right now, car with the yellow wheels and the mostly red bodywork. Car number 1, Juan Carlos Canas, going over the doubles and into the back straight hairpin, round the granite hairpin. This has been an absolute masterclass from Juan Carlos Canas, betraying formative years, betraying his youth. This has been a champion's drive. I'll tell you what, this is the sort of drive that puts the RC world on notice that this guy is seriously, seriously good. He's really relished the surface out here. Yesterday he was almost impervious in qualifying. As I say, it took a tiebreaker for Melo to beat him to the TQ spot. But today, whilst Melo has faltered slightly, Canas has been absolutely invincible. He dominated the semi-final. We barely saw him. It's one of those cases where you wonder why we're not showing the leader on the camera. Yeah, because he's miles away, really. He was absolutely dominating, and there were battles lower down in the transfer spots. But Canas dominated the semi-final. Would have come into this final maybe with a bit of nerves, but by the way he's driven, you wouldn't think it. You'll think this man has just nerveless capabilities. We're into the final 5 minutes now. We've got about 3.5 minutes to go. This has just been a great drive for Canas. It's been the sort of drive that will give him a huge amount of hope and confidence for the future. And I'm assuming he's done with pit stops for now. He may, I mean, if he wanted to, he has the luxury of making a whole other pit stop if he wants to. He's got almost 2 laps on the entire field now. He is a good 9 seconds up the road from Gonzalo Melo. Actually, he's a lap and 9 seconds ahead of Gonzalo Melo. So I thought for a second that gap looked a bit close. It wasn't. So Canas, Melo and Lopez look like it will be your top 3 for the race. As Canas just continues. Bar that replay we caught in the middle of the race. As I say, I think we were lucky we caught the one mistake he's made all weekend. They're going to preserve that in the history books forever. The one time Juan Carlos Canas made a mistake. Oh, that was a little bit scrappy as well. But I think by this point, when he's got such a monstrous gap on second place, I think he can afford to take it a little bit easy. Not quite going to full exhibition mode. No one is professional enough to do that. The cheers going up for the home fans though. And I think those, the French fans over there, as we continue to watch Canas, I think they're cheering for Baptiste de Bruyne, who's fighting for 4th place at the moment. He's looking for a spot. He'll be too far back for the podium, but I think de Bruyne will conclude a productive weekend for him. Starting third for the final. A strong semi-final run. Pretty unassuming run through the qualifying and the semis, as Canas is into the final 90 seconds of this European B Championship final. And it's been, I mean, what else can you say about it? It's been utterly dominant. The home fans wanted one of their Portuguese heroes to do it, and Melo not far off. And when it came down to it, when Carlos Canas pulled the pin and cut loose on race day, he's been impervious. This has been marvellous to watch. It's been so rhythmic, so effortless, so easy looking to get such great speed out of it. I think he'll have about this and another lap to do. He may even squeeze another one in, depending on how fast he's going. So, round the granite hairpin for maybe the penultimate time. We've got about 45 seconds to go, so at the pace he's going, I mean, he'll probably fit in another lap, or he could back it off by miles and make this the last lap. And he's not in any danger of losing any positions here. He scores as almost a lap ahead of Melo, which is saying a lot, really. I think Melo just had too much to do to beat him in the end. Coming from that deep in the field, Melo put in a great job. Lopez will take a strong podium, but they have all been far behind this guy, Juan Carlos Canas, who I think will do one more lap. I mean, when you're running this fast, there you go, out of the granite hairpin, he's going to have one more lap. He's out on his own at the moment. Enjoy it, young man. This is your victory lap. Over the TKR triples. Does not take them strongly. One more time around for Canas, who has been absolutely impervious. This has been a marvellous drive. Round up towards the EFRA tabletop for one more time. Cheers from all members of the crowd, really, showing their respect here. Big cheers from the Spanish contingent as well, as they get ready to welcome their new champion across the line. A big slide across the line. Juan Carlos Canas is your European B champion 2016 after an absolutely magic drive. That was something else. Just extraordinary. And he was literally untroubled from first flag to last. That was how good it was. And in RC buggy racing, that can be incredibly difficult to do. In a discipline where mistakes are so easy to make, it's quite something to show and to see what and to see someone have such a great run through the final and to be so impervious at doing so. Let's have a quick look at the finishing positions then. Oh, before we do so, let's have a chat with our new European B champion. welcome up to the crow's nest.
Felicidades, me felicitan los de RC Racing TV. And yes.
Oh.
Okay, we're ready.
Carlos is here as well. We're welcoming our new champion to the booth, Juan Carlos Canas. Well done, you've just become European B champion.
Enhorabuena.
That was an amazing drive.
Fenomenal pilotaje. Thank you very much, he says.
Just how, I mean, it looked easy out there, but it must have been so tough to keep the laps coming so quickly and so smoothly lap after lap.
Okay, parece que él dice que lo ha visto que el piloteo es demasiado fácil. Él ha visto que lo pilotabas demasiado fácil, pero que le da la impresión de que seguro que no ha sido tan fácil la cosa. Pero que te salían las vueltas constantemente bastante regular.
Sí, no ha sido tan fácil, pero bueno, me ha costado un poquito de trabajo. A partir del minuto 20 ya me he cansado un poco y bueno, más o menos.
It has been a hard work, and the problem has been after minute 20 he has get tired, so it has been a slightly difficult after minute 20, but okay, he has managed to do it.
Oh, more than managed. That was a superb drive. It made it look easy in the end, but just how were you able, it just seemed like you were able to keep up with the racetrack so well from yesterday in qualifying through to today. Just how are you able to do it and second guess what the track was doing in terms of changes?
A ver, ¿cómo te has apañado para desde ayer ir constantemente rápido y seguir hoy igual de rápido, incluso más, incluso hasta el final, con la pista, con lo que ha ido cambiando la pista? Porque eso no era fácil. ¿Cómo ha sido? ¿Por los mecánicos igual un poco?
Bueno, ya en la última mangada de ayer hice varios cambios grandes, me mejoró bastante y no toqué nada, semifinales y finales iguales, perfectamente.
So he did the changes on the last run of yesterday. The car improved a lot. That was when he beat all the times, and he made something like 6 seconds faster than any other. And that setup is the one he has kept for the semi-finals and from the main final. So the same setup as yesterday.
That's quite incredible, considering how many people we heard talk about changing the setup and keeping up with the track so much. The fact that you found it yesterday and have been able to keep it all the way through, that must have been a big confidence builder for you, you know, keeping the same setup and just getting more and more laps under your belt at such a great pace.
Que eso te tiene que haber dado mucha confianza, haber encontrado el setup de ayer justo más o menos a esta hora de la tarde, la temperatura de la pista, ¿no?
Sí.
Esa era la jugada.
Igual, estaba muy parecido.
Okay, the trick was the moment he found out the setup was exactly the same time moment of the day, so the hot is the same, similar, and so on. And what he has been able to manage is to run before on semi-finals on a similar pace with the track not so equal, but for the main final has been even easy.
So basically you found the prime setup yesterday at around the same time the final will be on.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And, well, I tell you what, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Great drive. Well done. Juan Carlos Canas, you are European B Champion 2016.
Congratulations. Muchas gracias. Te doy las gracias y todo, ¿vale? Gracias. Thank you from him. Okay. So, has been a good race.
Well, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we have seen the pity for a second position driver when he lost his wing. Okay, he has entered to replace the wing, and that cost him even the second position. So Gonzalo Melo, who has been the poleman and had a bad semi-finals, has been able to came from 7th to second position. But has been an intense final. If we look at the drivers, I think we only have seen Alberto Ruiz having flameouts and one French driver, I think, having flameouts.
The rest of the cars have had a flame out.
Yeah. And the rest of the people has been driving without any problems, so it has been a very hard and interesting race.
It has been great, and it's great to hear about that. That was what knocked Joao Lopez down the order. He had a wing issue early on. We did wonder why he faded, but just one final question for the weekend. Just how rich is the talent pool coming up now in European RC buggy racing based on this weekend's evidence?
Okay, it's not based on this weekend, please. If we keep on mining, we go back 1 year, we go back to Helsinki and North London, okay, in UK, North London, wherever you can call it. The point was, we saw there racing star like Ricardo Berton coming in the Euro B, and then he made the final on Euro A, and I think he was something like 4 on the Euro A, on the main final on the same year. And I think this guy, Juan Carlos Canas, which is the right way to pronounce Canas, okay? He will is like Robert Batlle, not Battle, Batlle, and then now it's Canas. Juan Carlos Canas, he is from Malaga. He is from the track of the Electro buggy this year. That's his club.
Valladolid.
No. Electro 1.8 buggy, Malaga.
Yes, gotcha.
That's his home track, Alaurín de la Torre. So he will be very fast on that race on Electro 1.8 buggy as well. But the thing is, I expect him to be very, very fast contender also on the ECA and Redoban in less than 1 month.
So basically, we're expecting huge things out of Juan Carlos Canas, right? Massive stuff.
But it's not only Juan Carlos. Keep in mind, in this final, we have had 3 juniors.
Oh, yeah.
We have had him, we have had
Melo.
Gonzalo Melo,
Yep.
we have had Manu Iniesta, and Joao Lopez has left juniors. He's now actually 18, but has been junior last year.
Still very young
So
talent.
it's talent coming up, which is good for the class. So
Yeah.
that's why the B is excellent, because there's new blood coming.
Oh.
And that's where we keep on driving, and we are hoping to have excellent events in the coming years.
Well, this has been an excellent event this weekend. Carlos, thank you so much for everything you've done this weekend and for joining us up in the Crow's Nest. It's been great to hear from you, and you heard it here first. This is where you see the stars of the future come of age, really, even if that age is very young, and expect to see Juan Carlos Canas and other guys like Joao Lopez, Melo and others to do massive things this year in the rest of the RC racing scene and beyond into 2017. It's been a wonderful weekend in Freixedas in Portugal, here for the EFRA 1/8B European Championships. Congratulations once again for Juan Carlos Canas. I've been Adam Johnson. Frank McKinney's been on the camera. James Parry's been alongside me for the weekend. It's been Carlos helping to put this thing all together. Thank you again so much for having us
You are
along. It's been a
welcome,
great
my
event.
media partner. We love you.
This event has
EFRA
been
loves
presented by
RC
EFRA.
Racing TV.
We are the official media partner and also by TKR Graphics. And we'll see you next time out. Bye for now.